Hi, Kay.
Hello, Lee. Good
Yeah,
to talk to you.
yeah, it's really my pleasure that I have the opportunity to talk to you about your life journey. You have a fascinating life journey, which I talk to you from time to time. I'm really interested about your life. It's being Kiwi and living in so many different places in the
Yeah,
world.
yeah, that's
You mentioned it's like 28 places you live.
28 houses.
Wow.
So we often move somewhere and we just find a house that we can live in. And then after a few months, there's maybe a better house or maybe a house on the Air Force base. So
Yeah.
then we move again. So sometimes we would move twice in 1 year.
Wow, wow. It's not easy. For us, we traveled from Shanghai, moved to Kuala Lumpur, and here in Wellington, we feel that sometimes it's really challenging that because every time you move your place, you start to have your new community,
Yeah.
you're making new friends. This is not easy, especially when you become an adult.
Yes. Well, one of the things is that within the Air Force community, they become your family.
Yeah.
And so that if you move to Auckland, you will meet up with people that you've known before or that
Oh,
your husband works with. And the children will often meet up with children that they're Air Force families that they've been at school with or at Christchurch, at Wigram or at Ahakia or Auckland. So it's not quite as bad for them.
okay.
And sometimes our children went to school across the road here and we went away. And then when we came back again, they went back to the same school. So they picked up with children that they had known for some time. Yeah.
Yeah, when they're younger, for little ones, it's really easy for them. Yeah, but when
Yes.
they become like, for example, my daughter's age,
More
teenager,
difficult.
it's more difficult. Probably they feel that why not? I'm just to settle down. Why I'm still moving? I have a friend here, so
Yeah.
so that's is part of their life as well. Yeah.
Mm.
So for them, do you feel that it's challenging for them? Yeah.
Well, it's when I look at the Air Force families around, some of the children managed really well. Our
Yeah.
older boy, we went to England for a year and he really didn't make friends with anyone much there at all. He said, "What's the point? We're only
Really?
here and
Oh,
going."
yeah.
Yeah.
I heard about it because so when people in a situation, they are constantly moving,
Mm.
they feel that it's painful when they have to
No
move.
point.
Yeah, he had the intention not to make friends in England at all.
He not intended, but he just didn't worry about it. And we were very busy as well. So that when we came back to New Zealand, he went to boarding school
Okay.
here in Wellington because we thought that we would be in Auckland for maybe 2 years and then come back to Wellington. Well, we were in Auckland all the time he was at school. So he was in boarding school here for 4 years while we were in Auckland.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
With our younger son, when we moved from here, he'd had 2 years at Wellington College and then he moved to Auckland Grammar.
Okay.
So we did move him. And then he went to Auckland University. So he didn't move quite as much as the others. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But yeah.
So that's not, uh, it's unusual. You have 28 houses always
It's
moving.
not unusual in the Air Force.
Oh, it's not
No.
unusual.
No,
Okay.
not unusual.
So,
And it depends too what the men are doing. If they are, it depends what their role is.
yes.
So my husband he would be, say, 2 years somewhere, and then they would send him to England for a course, a year-long course.
Okay.
He went to the College of Air Warfare there, and then went to, what was the other one? Oh, and then he exchanged for 2 years so an English pilot came out to New Zealand and he went over there.
Exchange
Flew.
program.
Yes,
Okay.
exchange
Every
program.
time he traveled to abroad to live there, you went with him?
Except to Vietnam.
Okay. That's yeah, so it's a very interesting thing about Vietnam.
Yeah.
You mentioned that your husband Robert flew there as a pilot during the Vietnam War.
They flew we didn't send our own helicopters over there. They flew with the Australians. So there were always about 5 or 6 New Zealand pilots flying with the Australians.
Oh, okay.
Used their helicopters.
Oh, okay.
And they were only down in Vung Tau, very near Saigon.
Yeah.
Ho Chi Minh City,
Yes.
right down there.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That bottom area.
At that time, probably, how long did you get married at that time when he went to Vietnam?
12 years.
12 years?
11, 12 years. Yeah, 11 or 12 years.
At that time, why you didn't go with him?
Because it was a war zone.
Yeah, it's war zone.
Yeah.
So
no.
okay,
it's not where you would go.
Oh, so
you
you
wouldn't want to
decided.
go.
Okay, so at that time, usually family members will not travel with.
Oh no.
Okay.
They'd stay here.
Oh, okay. For how long did you stay here?
365 days. You go out on a Thursday and you come home on a Thursday.
Oh, okay. Exactly 1 year.
Specific.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay. What it was like? I mean, like for me also, I'm personally separate from my wife for some time. Kind of it's not an easy period.
No. Well, there are 2 boxes down there. There are 2 big boxes of the letters that we wrote. The letters that I wrote to him.
Sure.
Which will spoil that.
Yeah. Whoa.
So those are the letters that I wrote to him.
Oh, the white one you wrote to Brock. Oh.
So those are the letters that I wrote to him.
Wow.
And got them in months.
Well, this is in months, right?
Yeah.
1 month. Wow.
Yeah. And these are the letters that he wrote to me. And they're more specific because what was interesting was he.
This is amazing.
He was doing the oral history. There are, I said to you that there were some hours down there.
Yeah.
I said there are 6 CDs, 6 CDs.
Yeah.
And they're about 2 to 3 hours each.
Okay.
So there's about 18 hours of archives, of his archives.
Oh, okay.
And one day he was talking to Pip Oldham, who was from Culture and Heritage, who was doing the talk.
Yeah.
And he said, she asked him a question about Vietnam, and he said, do you know, I can't remember. And I said, I was bringing coffee in. So I said, well, why don't you look in the letters? And he said, did we have the letters? So he's been through the letters and
that is amazing.
And he's marked off all the incidents, the things that happened.
Wow.
So he's got the dates there. And other people come and ask him. So there's another friend of ours who's written a book about his life, and he got Rob to go through it.
Yeah.
And look at the dates. So he looks at the letters and he looks at the log books with the flying hours. The
flying hours and log books. Yeah.
He said, no, it wasn't there. It was here because here it is. What the occasion was, who was the pilot, who was the co-pilot.
Oh.
And it's got all the dates there. And they are legal documents.
Yes.
So they can be used as, because they're signed off by the commander.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're legal documents.
It's obviously like pretty much every week. Both of you have communications by letters.
3 times a week or 4 times a week.
Oh my God. So at that time, do you have a phone call that you can?
You could. They were allowed to phone home about once or twice. And it was awful. And the children got so upset that I said, no, don't phone. We don't want you to phone. Because the kids, Anna, our daughter, just cried. She just cried and cried. Emotionally, because of what you can hear. And you don't gain anything. We did have tape recorders. Now, here's the thing. The tapes, the old push-in tapes, the old-fashioned things, they were so expensively, like quite a lot of money. I'm just trying to think how much they were. But they were so expensive that we taped over the top of them. So he'd send a tape and then a tape over the top, and we've lost all of that. Oh, wow. There was one occasion where I wished I had it. he was talking to the children, and he said to Anna, "You're not allowed to play with the were they squirrels or squirrels or monkeys? Squirrels, I think.
Okay.
You're not allowed to play with them." And one of the soldiers, because they have rabies, carry rabies, I think they were squirrels. And one of the young soldiers, they love to have a pet, you know.
Yeah.
And so he was playing with them. And Rob said, and had to be shot. And Anna, when she's writing back, she says, Daddy, please don't play with the squirrels because I don't want you to be shot. And of course, it was 2 weeks later that she got the message back. No, Anna, it wasn't the soldier that had to be shot. It was the squirrel that had to be shot. So you see, you don't, and it's like stressful.
Yes, like 2 weeks stressed for that without knowing what's happening. Right. Yeah, okay. Oh,
yeah. Wow. And I couldn't explain. I tried to explain to her, but she wouldn't have it. So we did have the tapes, and I do wish we had those because there was a lot more in them than
more emotionally comparing.
Oh well, discussions about things. So quite often there'll be something in a letter that's replying to a tape, but I don't remember. We can't remember what the tape was.
Oh, exactly.
Now, so
I completely forgot.
Yeah. So that was that. And he came home, and we bought this house, which is very different from when it was there. And we decided that he would block in the wash house.
Yeah.
It was an open veranda, and make a laundry out of that. So he had all the sign, and he did most of it himself. Although he was a sort of what would you say? He was a very, very meticulous carpenter, and he could repair engines and all sorts of things like that. And so he was doing most of that work himself after work and at the weekends. And then the back of the house was off, and he had a big tarpaulin over it. And we were posted to go to England in 6 weeks.
Wow. So I feel like I'm not quite sure if I was in that situation. I probably can always worry that what's my next place I'm going to, because no one tells you, just give you a very short notice. You have, so I just settle down, or you just settle down, then say, we have to go. So what was like, the feeling of in a constant change in the world?
Usually when there was a posting, when we were moving, it meant an advancement for the husband. And because my husband had wanted to join the Air Force, he was a territorial at school, air cadet. But his parents were no, that's not what you do. You get a degree. You go to university and get a degree. That was their philosophy.
Yeah.
So he did that. And he flew at the weekends and in the university holidays.
Okay.
And then there was a government change.
Yeah.
And they stopped having compulsory military training.
Okay.
And they stopped having the territorial air force. So he just got his wings to be able to fly.
Yeah.
Finished. And so he didn't go back to university to do a master's.
Okay.
He joined the Air Force.
Oh, okay. So you knew him at that time?
Oh, yes. I met him when I was 14.
Really?
On the train. Oh, yeah. Oh. Yeah.
Are you from the same place?
Yes. He was at boarding school.
Oh, okay. Oh, in boarding school.
Yes, he was in boarding school.
So his different city. Oh, okay.
He lived in Central Otago.
Oh, okay.
His parents were school teachers. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh. So you met him in the train when he studied in the boarding school? He was going home for the holidays, and I was going for a holiday to stay with my friend who lived in Alexandra. So we were there. And in those days, that wasn't unusual. I mean, we had dances, usually church run. They'd be Bible class or church dances. Dancer was all very there were lots of people looking after us, let's put it that way. Yeah. So after the train, you met first time. How did you start to communicate? Just dancers, or we'd meet up at the weekends. Oh, that's the same. Go to the pictures. So where he studied in the boarding school was where I lived, yes. Oh, Dunedin.
Yes.
Oh, in Dunedin.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh,
And then he started at university there, and I went to Teachers College to train as a teacher. And then he left to, after he joined the Air Force, he left. So, and then we got married. We got married very young because he was posted to Fiji
okay.
with the flying boats. He flew
Yeah.
flying boats, and he
Wow.
was posted to Fiji. And you either got married before they went, or you waited until their tour was over to get married. So we just got married. I finished teaching on Friday, got married on Saturday, and went to live in Fiji.
Oh, wow. So that's the time, the very beginning that your life started to living in different parts of the world.
Yes. So we lived in Fiji. We came back to Christchurch. And then we went to England for 2 years, and then we came back to New Zealand. And what happened then? 74. Then he went to Vietnam.
Yeah.
Oh, he switched to fly helicopters.
Oh, okay.
Prior to that, he was flying flying boats, maritime.
Oh, okay.
So around the Pacific.
Yeah.
And they got new aircraft. The Sunderlands, the flying boats were phased out, and they got Orions, P3 Orions.
Yes.
And he went out. We came back from England, and he went out with a friend one day. He said, "Oh, you come out for a ride to see what you think."
Yeah.
And he said, "You just fly out and fly back again." That's it. Because with the flying boats, you were flying into all the different islands.
Okay. Yeah.
And picking up and doing hurricane relief. And he knew all the islands. He would go to Tonga, Samoa, Penryn.
Really? Even the South
Pacific Islands. All the way around.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes doing hurricane relief. Sometimes they would be bringing people over because they were ill back to Fiji.
Yes.
Many of the pilots had a baby born on their flight.
Oh.
They'd be bringing a mother back, and there was a tradition that the baby was named after the captain, but he never had a baby on his flight. So we didn't have that. No.
Oh, okay.
So we came, but that was interesting. The 2 older children were born in Fiji.
Oh, okay.
And then we came back here, and then we went to Australia.
Yeah.
For a course. That was interesting. Yeah.
Then a lot of different posts.
Yes, although the Christchurch where we were at Wigram has closed down.
Yes.
And Hobsonville, which was the flying boat base in England, that's closed down. So there's now only Whenuapai, Ohakea, Woodburn. There's only 3. There's only 2 main bases now and a training base. So people don't move around quite as much as they used to.
You mentioned that so you want to become a teacher, and after you got married, you had to move to Fiji, and it kind of looks like your career path was on hold.
Well, I'd always wanted to be a teacher. My aunt was a teacher, and all her friends were teachers. And do you know but my mother didn't go to work. She had a university education, but she didn't work.
Oh, okay.
And all the adult women I knew, if they weren't mothers, were teachers. I didn't have a concept of grown-up women doing anything other than teachers. So we used to, when we were children, we would play teachers with the little children.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So we do.
That's the only thing that when you grow up, you can do.
But the thing was that flying can be quite dangerous.
Yeah.
So Rob was quite happy. He knew that I needed to have a career. I needed to have a qualification, not a career, but a qualification. And I always knew, unlike some of my friends who had, halfway through their nursing or halfway through whatever, and then suddenly posted, so gone. So they never finished. They didn't have a qualification to do anything. But I always knew that if I was on my own and had to support the children, I could do that.
Yeah. You can always do.
Yeah, I
to
can
be a
always
teacher.
And I did teach for nearly many, many years after that. I taught in Fiji and then again in England. That was interesting.
Oh. 1
we were
year.
in Gloucestershire,
Okay.
and it was the little village.
Yeah.
I could not understand a word those children were saying.
Oh.
It was so broad. It was, oh, and they couldn't really understand me.
What you? Yeah.
However, we got on all right.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And then, yes, and then we came back here, and I was full time.
Oh, okay. Full-time teacher.
Either across the road here, or down right at the end of the valley, or at the Catholic school.
Wow.
So it was really good. Yeah, very handy.
So it looks like in this neighborhood, a lot of people are your students.
Oh, totally. Yeah, totally.
Wow, this is amazing. I'm like, you live in a smaller town here, but you taught in different schools in this place, and every day probably met someone. Oh, I know.
Yes. And I remember one day I was down at the supermarket, and one of the girls, she was at high school, and working after school at the checkout. And she said, Mrs. Kay, look. And all 3 checkouts were children that I'd taught.
Wow.
And so she said, we've often been here and all 3 of us have been together.
Whoa.
But you haven't come in. And so this particular, I should have taken a photo because it was quite funny.
That's amazing, right?
Yeah.
What is the feeling like? I mean, like, you have students like all over the places.
Yes, yeah.
Wow.
And it's very interesting to see what they've achieved, because some of them, I was taught 5-year-olds.
Yeah.
So when they first came into school on their birthday,
Yeah.
which you do in New Zealand, of course.
Yeah.
And some of them, we always used to say, some of them are 3 when they come in, and some of them are 7.
Okay.
I mean, they're chronologically 5, but some of them are only very, very young. And it's not necessarily, it's just they're young. They're young, just young learners.
Yeah.
And some of them are ready to be moved on.
Yeah.
But I had one little boy who could read. I knew he could read because he'd come in for a visit.
Yes.
Before Christmas, and then he started in February, and I knew he could read before he came in. So I wanted to have a bit of help for him. So I did some testing with him, and he had a reading age of 12 years.
Okay.
And I needed help with the program for him.
Yes.
So, but the thing was, at playtime, he would get very, very angry, and he would bite the other children.
Oh no!
Because he just couldn't. He was just very young. Emotionally, he was still biting other children. So difficult.
Yes. Yeah. So did you still like meet your students from time to time and they visit you?
Yes, I do. Although not so much the students now, but I meet their parents.
Oh, okay.
Sometime, and I catch up with what they're doing. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
So, and they all seem to be doing quite well.
Wow, this is good to know. I mean, like this neighborhood is a caring neighborhood, very close neighborhood.
Yeah.
It helps develop a good personality. I mean, like comparing with the other parts of the world is like a small little heaven here. I mean, yes, very blessed that you have a great nature here. Yeah, very, very, very caring community.
Oh, you can do anything here. And you see, this house is too big for us, obviously.
Yeah.
And we've got steps outside, which are a difficulty. But where do you move to? Because the dentist and the doctor and the supermarket and the library and the optometrist and what else? Karori Arts and Crafts that I'm very involved with, and the probus, it's all just here.
Yeah. So this is amazing. Like only a few minutes, you will be anywhere you want to go.
That's right. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I don't know what we'll do.
So you spot the right place about 50 years ago. Yeah. But you moved to other places.
Yes.
Until finally.
We always came back here. Yeah.
Oh, okay. At that time, why did you choose this house?
Oh, very hard to get a house then.
At that time?
At that time, it was very, very difficult. You'd put a house on the market for sale, and it would be gone in sometimes 3 hours. It was very, very difficult.
Wow.
But the interest rate was like 15%, and it went even higher than that.
Very, very high, right? 15%.
Yes, huge money. And when we bought the house, we were so poor. I truly didn't. And our son, he was 12 at the time. Yeah. And he grew, and his feet, I could watch his feet and I could see them growing.
Yeah.
You know, I'd buy them new shoes, and within a month or 2 months.
Too small for him. Which means like a lot of money, right? As a mother.
Amount of money. Yeah, really, yes, it was difficult. And then after that, we went back to England.
Yeah.
And that made a big difference. Because we got quite good, although it was an unaccompanied posting and we had to pay for ourselves to move, there were good allowances when we got there.
Yeah.
And the big children went to school there. They went to grammar schools in England.
Yeah.
And our youngest, all our children have started school in England.
Oh, interesting.
Just where we've been. And 2 of them started high school there as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this must had them a big impact to them that their younger age in England. Oh, okay. Did they later return back to England for like?
Our youngest did. He worked in Japan. When he left university, he worked in Japan, and then he went to England and he worked there. He worked in Habitat, which is he was designing their windows, building things for their windows.
Yeah.
And when he came back, he decided he wanted to go back to university to study photography.
Yeah.
So he did that.
Okay. Okay. How many children you have?
3.
3. So
2 together, and then a big gap, and then 1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's not easy. I'm like to raise the children in that situation that always all move. Yeah.
But our friends were all in the same position.
Okay.
So, and the other thing is, we've never had a lot of money, but all our friends, how much money they've got because you know how much the men are paid.
Yeah.
And unless they've got private money, which I don't remember really any of them having private money, we're all in the same position. So
so that's what you call the military community.
Oh, totally.
What was that? I mean, like it's a new concept for me, military community.
Well, you just have to. You never knew. As Rob got more senior, he would sometimes say, "There's a crew in." There's an aircraft come in from somewhere, so we need to have a barbecue or we need to feed them. And the crew could be 10 people.
Oh.
So sometimes there would be, on Saturday night, you would find out that you were having maybe 20 people for dinner.
Yeah.
But the mess, the mess?
Yes.
They would do the food.
Mm.
So you would have to just tidy the house and put some flowers around. And we all had at least, and there's more down in the garage.
Okay.
So we would all have china for about 30 people.
Yeah, china, like 30
glasses, and silver. And
there's always like a lot of people together on Saturday night.
Yes, could be. And there were always things at the mess. And when the men were away, other people would stand in for you. They would. I can remember somebody coming to mow our lawns once. I was having our youngest child. Yeah. And Rob was away, and somebody came to mow the lawns. But that's that sort of thing. Yeah. And another friend, when I was having him and Rob was away, towards the end of the pregnancy, she came and slept at my house. She just came down about 9 o'clock in her pajamas and stayed the night and left and went home. She only lived around the corner. We lived on a base. So she would stay with me overnight. Yeah. Just really made sure the relationship develop in that different base, military base. Yes. Yeah. So for your personal interactions at that time with people is mainly inside the military base? Yeah. Okay. Can I say it's like a closed community?
That's like a correlate.
Yes. Well, we did make some very good friends, particularly in Auckland.
Okay.
And certainly here, because when you're here, you're not on a base.
Yeah.
You know, you're in the community.
Exactly.
We're all over different places.
Yeah.
There used to be, do you know the road, do you know where Shelley Bay is?
Shirley Bay.
No. Well, it's the peninsula. So here's the airport, and then there's the peninsula.
Area, right?
No, here.
Here, okay.
There's a big peninsula.
Okay.
And there was an Air Force base there.
Okay.
For the flying boats.
Yes.
On Evans Bay.
Okay.
And that eventually closed down. And so we found that we didn't meet up with our friends there. And so we started a group. Oh, no, I go early on a Tuesday.
Yes, yes.
So once a month, I meet all those friends on the Tuesday.
Yeah.
But see, I'm the only one driving now. So.
What you mentioned is like even until today, you still meet with them regularly. Yeah. And you're still driving.
Yeah.
Even after you had the surgery. Yeah.
Surgery is brilliant. Amazing.
Yeah. Tell me a little about before and after. I mean, like I never had a surgery in my life, but I feel you have to prepare for a major surgery in your life that you probably have to worry about a lot. Yeah, sometimes because
back surgery is quite major. It's quite serious surgery, but I was in such a lot of pain. I really couldn't walk.
Okay.
Even I couldn't walk down to the op shop to Mary Potter. I couldn't walk that far. And even around the house, if I were doing something, I couldn't stand to eat dinner. I had to sit. It was terrible.
Yeah.
And so it's been brilliant. And the surgeon knew exactly what the problem was. Wow. Because I said to him, is this going to work? And he said, yes, of course it is. Of course it is.
Did you worry a lot before the surgery?
I was philosophical. I was happy to have anything done. Yeah. Okay. It's been brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. And I saw you after probably a few weeks later, you started work. I mean, like in our concept, you have a major surgery. You probably have to have a good rest for at least just 3 to 6 months. But
it's only 3 months. It's 3 months. 3 months today.
Wow.
Thursday. Yes, 3 months today.
But you did a lot. I mean, like you back your life is back to normal and even better. Yeah.
I was in the garden the other day, and that was a bit too long.
Oh, okay.
But I have a bike now to cycle because the problem was not my back, but my muscles. My legs weren't strong.
Oh, okay.
So now I've got the bike.
Okay, to build
the muscles up. Yeah, so that was not to do with the back, but it was because I couldn't walk for so long.
Yeah.
And we don't have the dogs anymore, so walking the dogs.
Yeah. It's a surprise to me when I saw you in a shop again. I mean, like you definitely can sleep. I mean, you definitely can rest for much longer period, but right after the surgery for a few weeks, you back to work. And also you're back to driving. I mean,
yeah, that was good. And the thing is that Rob doesn't drive now.
Okay.
And he doesn't do. There are lots of things that he doesn't do anymore. He doesn't take the brush bins down or things like that. So those were problems because I couldn't take the bins down either. Just those. I really did have to get well.
Okay.
Because couldn't stay here.
Anyhow, let me know. Just let me know. Just text me. Anything. I mean, because I'm around.
They won't let me. They won't let me stand on. The kids won't let me stand on the bench. They won't let me stand on the table.
Oh.
And they won't let me put things up high. Our children won't let me do that. So those are the only problems. I just leave them around, and then they do it when they come.
Just text me sometimes because I'm always around.
Take my bins down. We've got a very nice neighbour across the road, Russell and Nancy, and he brings our newspaper up in the morning, which is very kind.
Oh, yes.
And he keeps an eye on us. So we've got lovely neighbours.
Yeah.
Good neighbours. We don't know the neighbours the way we used to. But
how did you develop such a way? I mean, like in a close community is different because that you feel secure that everyone knows everyone and we are on the same boat. But when you're away from a close community, in a more open community like Korea, probably it's kind of a new task for you to build.
Yes, although part of me, I nearly always went back to school. Once we were here in Wellington, I started teaching almost straight away. So then you've got another community. You've got another school community.
Yes.
And you've got the hospice community, you know.
Exactly.
I know that, we talked about having the dinners once every so often. We can come here next time.
Wow.
But Jill and Heather both said we should start going to the movies group.
Yeah.
But see, I have enough. I can't really do that.
Yeah.
But you could meet up with the friends there.
Yes.
Or Karori Arts and Crafts is an amazing place.
Yeah, my daughter went there. I like it very much. Yeah, it's also a non-for-profit organization, right?
Yeah.
The building was donated by a couple. Yeah. That is amazing.
They were absolutely amazing couple. They didn't have any children. And the thing was that at the time, we own the building.
Yes.
But we don't own the land.
Yeah, I know that.
It can be moved.
Yes. That's brilliant, right?
Yeah.
Brilliant idea that to think forward. I mean, like, to think about 30, 40 years from now, this is going to happen. Yeah.
When I was the president there some years ago, and we had enough money from because they not only paid for the building, but there was money left in investment. It was a huge amount of money. So they left money there. And at the time, the interest rates were 9 to 12%. And we could run the building on that. Now it can't.
Oh, okay.
Because the interest rates are slow. The money that's invested is not enough to completely run it.
Okay.
And so we've got to try and raise money in other ways.
So which means like fundraising here?
Well, it's more getting members. And you used to pay $35 a year to belong, and now I think it's $105.
Okay.
Which is, I mean, you could be there every day.
Yeah.
I go to the I play mahjong there. I go to the garden group, the antiques group, which is what I'm going to do with this brass.
Yeah.
The antiques group. They've got just also memory writing.
Yeah,
now that's
sure. This here. That's the antiques. Yeah.
That's all the antique things.
Wow. Yes.
Just the study of brass. And then on a Monday morning I go to memory writing group.
Oh, memory writing group.
Yeah.
So you're going to wow, you already did.
So I write about the houses that we lived in. And I will eventually, put those. I've got photos.
Oh, wow.
So I'll put them in. And you just think about various things. This one's on religion. This one's on. These are the houses that we lived in.
Wow, 28 houses you mentioned. Okay. Wow.
Well, it's not 28 different. It's 28 shifts.
28 shifts.
Because we lived in this house 3 times.
Okay.
So
okay. Wow.
So that's the Christchurch house.
Wow. How did you remember all these things for so long?
It's interesting when you start writing. This one here, for instance, I said to you, I can't remember when I wanted to be a teacher, but I also can't remember when I didn't. We played schools at the time, and I could round up plenty of pupils who could be coerced or bribed.
Wow.
Yeah, so you start remembering things like that.
That was almost 70 years ago. It's 1957. Yeah. Wow.
And this was the second house we lived in England. And it was there was a street called Lighter Than Air Road. And in our garden, there was a big concrete block about this square with an iron hoop. And that's where they tied the hot air balloons, the Zeppelin sort of things.
Okay.
So lighter than air. Yeah, that's the base that was there. It was
based in England.
In England.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just keep writing every Monday. And it's funny when you start things. Now, my sister, who lives in Canada, I would read it to her each week. And she would say, no. that didn't happen. So she remembers something slightly differently. She's a lot younger than I am.
Yeah.
So she remembers some things quite different.
Wow, it's interesting. Like he's kind of helping you, like
Yeah.
it's kind of an editor of your memoir.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, wow,
That's right.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And nowadays we have kind of AI. Sometimes you don't have to type in, you just take photos. It's automatically recognize what you wrote.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Could do.
Yeah.
Well, I will do something with these, but
memoir. So in what stage now? So which year now? In
which year now? For which house?
I mean, like, yeah. So you're writing a house for house number.
I'm up to this house.
Okay.
I'm up to this house. I'm up to buying this house.
Oh, that is like 20 years ago, right?
Yeah, more than that.
Wow.
Springs Road. Then 8 Marine Parade. Oh, that was a lovely house.
This is amazing. How you can keep all these memories and you are.
Well, once you start writing, you do remember things.
So writing is you keep
That's it. House number 14.
House number 14.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
That's this one.
Okay.
So it was house number 14. So then there were a whole lot more.
Yeah.
Then we came back here. Yeah.
Okay. So it's like almost a little bit more than half of your houses you stayed already.
This house, we knew that it was going to be an interesting house because we like old houses.
Yeah.
And
that time is already old house?
It was 50 years old when we bought it. And now it's 100 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. But the thing was that at the time, there was a builder built this house.
Yeah.
And then he lived in it and he built this house.
Oh,
okay. He sold this house and then built the next one. So he built the 3 houses in a row. And I think at the time he would look at the wood and he'd say, right, I'll have that bit of wood, but not that one. That one's got a wee mark in it. So if you look at our doors, they're all perfect wood. You cannot buy wood like that now.
Anymore, no. Yeah, so
it's the wood's really
because he built a house, the first house for himself.
Yep.
So he spent a lot of efforts on that. So that's something you feel you have something you think, yeah, that's probably a good
yes. So we knew that, and nobody had painted it because a lot of people paint over wood, and nothing had been done. There were two sisters lived in the house when we bought it, and their mother, and I think their father had lived there too. But then she died in the bath. The old lady died in the bath. And I wanted to keep the bath, but it was so huge. Yeah. And so Rob had to break it up and to put it out through the window. We couldn't get it out the doors. I don't know how they got it in. But we knew it was going to. Now, there used to be a fireplace here.
Okay. Oh, this place. Yeah.
There was a fireplace there. And a fireplace. Oh, this was a fireplace. Yes. And there was only there was a corner window here. Okay. And then we pushed the house out. You can see the gap in the picture rail. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So that was pushed out. Oh. Pushed the whole house out. Okay. Most of it himself. Yeah. And so the fireplace was taken out. Oh, okay. Because it was huge. Yeah. And a friend of ours, he was a builder, he put that window in. There was no window there. Okay. So he made a window the same. This is amazing. I mean, like it's 100-year-old house, but still very warm. Oh, and it's just, we've got friends who live in houses that are 50 years old, 30 years old, or houses from the 70s, really, 70s and 80s. And they're having so much trouble with the roof and the leaks everywhere. Yeah. These houses, and through the earthquakes, they're just good houses. Wow, that's amazing. I mean, like, would you mind to read some of what you read? Yeah, like the current house. The current house. Yeah, number 14. Can't find it now. Wow, it's amazing. Okay. 3 Reading Street was a Californian bungalow sometime after the street, which was originally called Hamilton Street, was cut through from Karori Road to Friend Street. this road was cut through. It used to be a bank all the way up.
Yeah.
It was changed to avoid confusions with a street in Hataitai, also called Hamilton Street. A builder had purchased 3 sections, building first ours, the largest, moving in, building next door, and selling ours. The other 2 Karori Road houses have Karori Road numbers. Ours has a Reading Street number.
Yeah.
It was sold in 1928 and again in 1940 to Mrs. Fleming, a widow with 2 daughters. One was a teacher at Marsden School. When the old lady died in the bath, it was sold very confusingly to another Mrs. Fleming, also a hospital matron. At some point, it had been divided halfway along the passage into flats, although they must have shared the only bathroom and the next door toilet. It had a huge iron bath with lion's paw feet. Do you know lion's paw feet? They're like exactly what they are. Feet.
Okay.
Look like a lion's paw.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah.
It was freestanding. When we had moved in, I was longing for a bath. It took forever to fill, as the only hot water was from a gas califont in the kitchen. I lay back in the bath and immediately went under, as it was 6 feet long. I nearly drowned. I wanted it for the garden, but Rob said he'd had to smash it to get it out when he started to renovate. There were 3 big bedrooms, no wardrobes, of course, a sitting room, a dining room with a study or a sunroom off, facing south, so not much sun, a kitchen and a collection of small verandas tacked on the north side. There were 3 sets of double doors, like these double doors here, and there's another one down the back too.
Yeah.
There were 2 brick garages and an old concrete. On the corner was the school tuck shop.
Yeah.
School, school dairy.
Yeah.
No longer a dairy, of course.
Okay. Yeah.
It had been very well maintained. So what else does it say about it? Oh, we got the dog here. We got a dog first. Yeah.
Right after you moved in.
Yeah. So we got curtains and blinds. We're all ill-assorted and very old, so we were where to start. Rob reckoned, he estimated we had at least 3 years ahead of us here. So he got stuck in, boxing in, reinforcing the side veranda and putting in plumbing in the back door. That freed up a large wash house on the sunny north and west side to make a bedroom for Carl, who was now 11. Anna had her pick of the bedrooms, and Matt's cot was in the long back porch. He was now 2.5, and I hoped he would move into a big boy's bed, but he wouldn't. Until Honeybun, our dog, started to have her puppies in his bed. We brought 2 large wardrobes on, so it goes on. So that was all about.
Wow. It's very detailed. You mentioned like you usually write every Monday, right?
Yeah.
But it used to be you keep your diary for a very long time?
Yes. Diaries. I have had a diary for every year.
Oh.
But
since when?
1965.
Wow.
But sometimes it was only a little diary that said dentist, 12 o'clock, whatever. It didn't. But every now and again, I'd have a rush of blood to the head, and I would write a diary every day for 1 year, and then I didn't do it anymore. But it's interesting to read those.
Yeah.
A lot of it gives the prices of things, how much things cost.
Yes.
And that's interesting to look back on. Yeah.
So what did you usually write? So for your diary? Yeah.
This sort of thing.
Oh, okay. It's kind of you can see very detailed.
Yeah.
Very detailed things to describe.
It's a good way to write, rather than I just go and get a book. This is our friend's book. I know it's still here. This is our friend John, and he's written that book. He's been doing it a long time. He was in Vietnam with Rob, and also when we lived in Fiji.
Yes.
There's seats got the flying boat on it.
Yes.
So he's flying boat pilot, helicopter.
Yeah, helicopter. Yeah.
And he sent this to Rob to check out in his diary.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that was quite good. But I didn't do that. But my friend Judith, who runs the memory writing class, she said, no, it's better just to think of one thing and then write about it.
Oh,
Write about
focusing on one memory.
Yeah, for instance, one memory. So this is for Christmas in Canada. I took my mother to Canada to have Christmas.
Yeah.
So it says, Trish had been in Canada for almost 30 years and we had never had Christmas together in all that time. So when I asked Mum if she would be up to it, Rolf and I booked tickets. Mum said she would only go if Trish turned on a white Christmas for her. The first real snow fell on it's the worst snow they've had in where she lives. Oh. And that was 96, 97. It was unbelievable. So wrote about that. And then I talked to Trish about it. Yeah. And what's happened then. Nigel's story, that's a very interesting story. Yeah. That's a friend in Canada. Yes. Who's a neighbour of my sister's. Yeah. He is when we first met him, they said his father is Nigerian. Okay. And his mother was a Scottish girl. Yes. And he lived there with his 3 children and so on. But he had always been told, he was brought up in an orphanage, and he had always been told that his mother had died when the Germans bombed the Glasgow, the shipbuilding in Scotland. Yes. And that turned out not to be the case. Oh. She had left him in an orphanage because he was a mixed race child, and she wasn't married, and that was back in the 1930s. That was terrible. And so she left him in the orphanage, and she actually came to New Zealand. Oh. And I found out about it and was able to meet up with her. Whoa. So that was that was an amazing story. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yes. Yeah. So what you mentioned, so when you start to do your memoir, you start to focusing on one topic? Yes. To spread out the topic. Yes. What is the topic? Well, anything at all that you can think of. She's given us a whole lot. These are the first ones I wrote. That was starting Teachers College. That was the Queen's visit. Yeah. In 1953. Wow. That was talking about my siblings, my brothers and sisters. Yes. That's teaching in when I was living in Gloucestershire. That's teaching there when I couldn't understand the children. So these were just all things. That was the first one I wrote. That was the first one? Oh. That was the first one I wrote. Last year, or 2 years ago. Yeah, no. Yeah, 2 years ago. 23. Yeah, 23. 2.5. Oh. So, if the Darning Wall, can you see this? You can get these baskets bigger. See these baskets? You can get them bigger. Yeah. And babies used to sleep in them. Oh. Yeah. So on this particular day. Oh, wow. On this particular day, we had a new baby in the house. This is my younger sister. Really? Oh. And the lady down the street came up with that basket, a bigger one like that, to adopt the baby. Oh. And my mother was horrified. Yeah. And she told me to run next door to get her friend. And what had happened was this woman had she was a neighbour, but she'd had a lot of miscarriages. Yeah. And she had postnatal depression. And so what had happened was I had 2 older brothers, and then there's the war, then there's me, and then there's the war, and then there's my younger brother. And I had just started school. Yeah. And I gave him measles and whooping cough. School's like 5 years old. 5 years, yes. Yeah. So he was very ill as a baby. Yeah. And Dad was away. And she must have complained to her very dear friends, her neighbour. Yeah. I said, oh, God, I'm having another baby and I can't cope with the one I've got now.
Yeah.
And something, she must have complained all about it. And this lady down the street thought that she didn't want the baby, so she came to adopt her.
Oh.
And it was a bit stressful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the interesting thing was about that was years later, Mum broke her hip. And she had to go into care in Dunedin.
Yeah.
She went into a nice place, Leith House. And my sister came over from Canada, and she always used to say, "Oh, what's so-and-so doing? What's Yvonne doing?" She was the daughter of the family. And then I said to Mum, "Oh, do you remember the day Mrs. Connor came down to adopt Patricia?"
Yeah.
And she said, "What? Were you going to give me away?" And Mum said, "Well, no." And she said, "That's too slow. You were too slow for that." I assumed that she had known the story. But she hadn't known the story.
Fact check.
Yes. And some things you don't talk to your parents about, like abortion. So you have a philosophy on abortion, coming from wherever.
Okay. Amanda, what's your religion?
Oh, well, I don't have a religion now, but we were Anglicans, so, just went with the flow, really. But it was illegal in New Zealand.
Illegal at that time?
Oh, yes,
okay.
Yeah. And so I said to Mum, well, what is your view about this sort of thing? Because you don't always talk to your mothers.
Where was you at that time?
Oh, I would have been 50.
15 years old, okay.
50. Like almost a grandmother myself. And I said to her, so what when you were younger, you were, you were all young marrieds and so on.
Yeah.
And they were all university women, her friends. And so I said to her, what's your view on abortion?
Yeah.
She said, well, the thing is, back in the day, you could drink gin, or you could have a very hot bath, or you could jump off the garage roof. And she said, but of course, we were a teetotal house. We didn't have alcohol in the house.
Yeah.
We only had that funny heating system, so we didn't often have very hot water, and we didn't have a garage to jump off. So I still don't really know what her views on abortion were.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me a little bit about your parents. Yeah.
Mum was an only of older parents. Dad had one sister, my aunt. I've just written about her, actually. She's a very interesting woman. Dad had one sister. Now, when you talk about vaccinations, anti-vaxxers, not having that, I had two aunts who died of measles.
Oh.
They were little. My grandparents lived in the north of England.
Yeah.
And a measles epidemic came through the town. And their two little girls died.
Oh.
And so they just walked out. They just left England and came to New Zealand, where my grandmother had one sister. And so when they got to New Zealand, they had he started you'd call it commercial cleaning business.
Yeah, yes.
He had big long ladders and cleaned windows and a horse and cart to start with, and then a van. And he built up quite a big business because they were quite,
he started his own business.
Yes. And they did quite well. And then they had my aunt. She was born 2 years after they got here. And then my father, 2 years later. My aunt, my dad was only in his 80s when he died, but my aunt was 98. So having lost their two girls as babies, come to New Zealand, and they lived for nearly 100 years. Yeah, she was
amazing.
Yeah.
100 years, kind of 100 years in New Zealand, right?
Yeah. She was born in 1906.
Wow.
1906, yeah.
Wow.
And Dad was born in 1908. Mum in 1911.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I didn't have any cousins. No cousins. So
Because your cousins are all in England or...
No first cousins.
Okay.
My aunt didn't have any children.
Oh.
So just,
Yeah.
So, but we were very close. So grandparents there, my aunt there.
Okay.
And mum and dad, we all lived within 10 minutes walk of each other. So it was quite good.
Well, it's quite good, yeah.
Well, it was good when Dad was away during the war because there were people to look after,
Yeah.
help.
So your dad went for the First World War.
Second World War, but he didn't go overseas, but he was in the army. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So for your parents, they lived in Dunedin.
Yeah. Always in Dunedin.
Always in Dunedin. So this brings my question. So how, for you, as your parents never left Dunedin to other workplace, but for you, you moved to so many places, and also your sister moved to live in Canada. She
was a teacher too, and she went to Canada on her way to England. She was going to England we called it OE, overseas experience.
Yes, I know, it's very common. Yeah.
So she was going there, and she went to Canada first, and because she had a boyfriend in New Zealand.
Yeah.
He thought they were going to get married when she went to Canada, but she said she wasn't. So anyway, but they went there. So she and her girlfriend went to Prince George, which is quite a long way out.
Yes, Prince George. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
It's about halfway between Vancouver and the Arctic Circle.
Yeah.
So she went there to teach, and she met a Canadian.
Oh, that's...
Never got to England. So she met a Canadian and got married.
It's kind of spontaneously, both of you, you and your sister, like in your life, the early stage, spontaneously just follow the flow.
Yeah.
Your parents probably didn't involve that much at the beginning, right?
No.
Yeah.
Mum was horrified.
Yeah, exactly. In the place, you never know.
But you see, her son, she had 2 boys, and her older boy, he went across they live in British Columbia.
Yeah.
But they were educated in French, and there you can be educated in French.
Bilingual.
So they were educated in French, and then he went halfway through his degree, he went to teach in Quebec. And he met a Dutch-French-Canadian girl.
Oh, okay.
And they did come back to Vancouver and finish university, but they now live in Quebec.
Oh.
So Mum says, and Trish says, oh, it's so terrible. Mum says, well, think what I felt like. So they're grown, he's got grown up children now. So
she feels like, for me, now I have daughters, right? They are studying overseas, and definitely when I getting older, will be different places. What did your mom feel like that 2 of her girls are not with her for a very long time in her life?
She was, but her friends, because they were university educated women, they were doing quite interesting things, and often their husbands had travelled a lot.
Yeah.
And they were in the same situation. Their children were, moving away, doing things, going overseas for university or going here, there, or everywhere. So it wasn't really, she didn't like it because she would have liked to had us all right round and about. But none of us lived in Dunedin.
Yeah.
So
this is like your situation. Like, for example, your children, 2 of them, they're in Auckland.
See, no, 1 in Auckland and 2 here.
Oh, okay.
We are so lucky.
Oh.
They've been overseas, but now they're back in New Zealand. So.
Yeah, they appreciate, right, that New Zealand offers. They have probably better opportunities overseas.
Possibly, but our older boy, his firm wanted him to go to Melbourne, but they have an autistic son, and they felt he would get better treatment here. So, which in fact has been the case. Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
So they stayed here, and they just live around the corner.
Wow.
Hill Street.
Wow.
And our daughter lives in Petone.
Oh. Yeah.
And our youngest son lives in Auckland, and he's the one with 2 grandchildren. There's 2 grandchildren in Auckland. One of them in his last year, a year ahead of your girl.
Okay.
He's in year 13.
Yeah.
at St. Peter's.
St. Peter's.
Yeah, in Auckland.
Oh, okay.
And our granddaughter is in her second year at university.
Wow.
So,
Wow. That is, I mean, like for New Zealander, it's kind of a lot of them, they had a long time overseas experience, and it's kind of a tradition when they have family, they start thinking about moving back to New Zealand.
Come back home.
Oh, okay.
Because you see, I mean, the thing about New Zealand is if you want to go anywhere, it's a long way.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like
even to Australia, it's a long way.
Exactly. It's like 3-4 hours, right? Yeah. Even Australians think about to fly 4 hours. You can fly very, very far away, long distance.
Yes,
So that's what people intend to spend. It's like if once they decide to go overseas, they intend to spend time longer there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd go away
other...
a year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Usually for a year. Matt was longer. He was about 3 years away.
Yeah.
2 years maybe away. Anna, our daughter, didn't do quite so much, but she does a lot of travelling now. They're just on their way to, in August, which is June, July, August, to Uzbekistan and Turkey, which is quite interesting. Yeah.
Uzbekistan.
So the Silk Road.
Yeah, several. Yeah, Uzbekistan. Yes, it's
and when you try to do it right into China, it's still, you can't just get into China to do that, but still, it's some.
Yeah.
Now, who is it? Who are the people on the west of China?
You mean the minority?
Yes, the people that live in the very west of China.
Yeah, we call it Xinjiang, or they call it differently.
They're quite a different race of people. I mean, China's so huge. Isn't it? They're quite a different race of people, and I think there's a lot of you can't get in there, so which is where they like to do that.
Okay. You mentioned it to me that previously that your husband are not allowed to visit China and Russia. It's because of his security. Oh, okay. For life.
Quite a long time. Oh no, he can now.
Okay.
He can now.
Yeah. And you mentioned the story for you and him traveled to Russia. Yeah. What happened?
Well, because he we were leaving Russia, going out. We'd only been there 3 weeks.
Okay.
So, and we were on a tour and whatnot. And when we were leaving, there were two places to go through to clear customs, clear immigration.
Yes.
And one thing that we had been told when we first went to Russia is that Russian people sometimes seem very unfriendly. But in Russia, it's if you smile for instance, if you smile at a woman in Russia, that's considered a come on, that's considered to be quite fresh. No. So Russians don't smile at people that they don't know. If you're in the street, you don't smile at people. So they seem quite severe.
Yeah.
So we were told that, and not to be offended if people that we thought weren't very friendly. So when we go out, I just go through. She stamps my passport and I go through. And Rob was there and I could see him. And she was looking like this. And then she was looking back. And then she went to another computer. She had the one in front of her and then she had another one there. And she's like this. And it would have been, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 minutes, something like that. And then she hands his passport back through the thing like that. I saw her do it. And she actually smiled at him and said, very interesting. And away we went. So he was obviously in the system.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So,
wow.
Because he did have the highest security clearance there.
Oh, okay.
And there were lots of things too. And when we were in, which course was it? He went to work in Ireland in 1994. He was in Ireland for 6 months working with them, with the Irish government. But there were things that on the course, there would be Americans and Australians and Canadians and Italians and Germans and so on. And sometimes there were things that only Commonwealth people could go to. Sometimes there were things that only NATO could go to.
Interesting.
So sometimes there were only things that the ANZAC,
Australia, New Zealand,
UK, so that they could go to. So it got quite complicated. For different sorts of security clearances. So
it's even for you. You have to also, as a wife of.
I don't have a security clearance. No, I can't go to any of those places. But then after the wall came down, 89, and then the Russian, collapsed, 91, wasn't it? 91.
Yeah.
We could go.
You visited to Russia after that?
Yes, went to Russia after that. Still couldn't go to China. Well, you could, but it was complicated. The visas and so on. And then they opened up, Shanghai opened up, so you could go for 5 days without visa. I mean, you still had to get a visa, but you didn't have to do the complicated bit. So that was good. We did that twice.
You went Shanghai twice.
Shanghai,
That was when?
Great. 2011.
2011.
2011. And 2016, 17.
Wow. So what was your first? So you went Shanghai for the first time, 2011. That's the first time you went to China. What's your first impression about the city?
Well, of course, we were only there 3 days. We only saw, I had a friend who was born in Shanghai. Her family were German Jews.
They
were there. And so she said, "I would go and have a look where I was born." So there's the French Quarter and the English Quarter. We only did those things. We went on the river. We went over to the modern side. Now son was working there. He worked
there.
Well, not for long. 2-3 months he was there. With IBM. He was with IBM. And he was on there, and he said there are more building cranes in Shanghai than there are in the rest of the Western world.
That's very, very big.
He sent photos of it, and it's just like this. So that would be early on. That would be late 80s.
Late 80s. So when you went there, Shanghai, I mean, you're from New Zealand, which is 5 million population, and you went Shanghai. This is a nation of 5 million. Shanghai 23, 25 million population.
I didn't really see that because we were in the, in the downtown area and in the old area.
Yes.
And there were a lot of people, don't get me wrong, but it was the very touristy sort of part, so we didn't So we went on the fast train, which is not so interesting because you can't see anything out the window.
It's too fast.
But we did it and had the photos.
The
food was nice, but there again, we weren't long enough to find out the really good places to eat. But we saw a lot of the old historic places that were built by the French and so on.
Wow.
And the museums and just beautiful stuff. The gardens. There's a very touristy garden area. We just did that. So no, we enjoyed that. But haven't been to any other cities and haven't seen the wall. And, no. And we won't now. Sorry. Anyway. Here we are.
Take me back to the first time you met your husband, sir. Back to 19. Year you met? Well, when he was 14 years old.
I was 14.
You was 14.
That is 18.
So that's almost 70 years.
54. We met in 54. Wow. So that's 71.
71 years. Wow. This is really a long journey. I mean, for both of you are still happily live together. What's the secret?
We talked to them. Somebody asked us about that once. There were quite a few military wives there, and I have a friend, Barbara Crooks, who lives down the road, And they said, you people have been married for so long. And what is the secret?
Yeah.
And she said, they're away a lot.
They're away a lot. Okay.
So did I tell you the story about the guys? They were going to Singapore.
Yeah.
What were they flying? They're flying boats. They must have been flying boats.
Okay.
And they were going to Singapore. And you have to go from, to Fiji and to Guam and to Kwajalein and to get there.
Yeah.
And so we were going to do some sewing, and we lived in very small houses. So we got our sewing machine out onto the table, and we had all the patterns out. And the children, we were going to eat on the floor in front of the fire.
Yeah.
And the aircraft was unserviceable, and so the men came home.
Yeah.
And I said she rang me and she said, they're coming home. They're not going until tomorrow. And I said, oh, God, what are we going to do? Because there was stuff everywhere. And she said, I've just told John to go and sleep in the mess. I don't want him to come home.
Okay.
So I said, well, tell Rob that as well. So they slept in the mess. They had dinner in the mess and slept in the mess, and we didn't see them. Yeah.
Wow.
There's funny things like that you do remember. Things like that.
Wow.
And see, when I was, Rob worked, the first year that I met him, in the May and August holidays, he worked on a sheep farm.
Yeah.
On a station. There's a film called The Power of the Dog. Have you seen it?
The Power of the Dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's on Rob's grandmother's farm.
Oh, I should have a look.
He used to watch that. He used to work there. And then he worked for the Ministry of Works, but then he started flying.
Okay.
He started flying at Wigram. So I worked I had a holiday job at a little private hospital.
Yeah.
So working as a nurse aide. And then in the holidays, and then on the Friday night and Saturday, I worked at a big restaurant in Dunedin, waitressing and making omelettes for people when they came in from the movies.
Yeah.
And then I worked on an orchard in the Christmas holidays, and I did that right up until the year I was married.
Oh.
Worked on the orchard, apricot orchard.
Oh.
So that was good.
Wow.
And then what else did I have? I had another holiday job. But we all had holiday jobs.
Yeah.
Oh. And now our grandson in Auckland, he was applying for a holiday job.
Oh.
And there were 1,500 applicants for the holiday job. That's tough.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's tough on the kids because he'd love to be working.
Like for Chinese people want to work holiday, what do they call it? Working holiday visa. It's kind of a lottery.
Yeah. I just feel for them because we just walked into jobs. I mean, the year that we was...
You just asked for a job, so do you have a job available? Wow.
Yeah. No, it's not like that now.
Well,
no, so I do feel for them. And also for when they come out of university. I mean, he's a bright kid, and he's a school prefect and plays sport and plays the clarinet.
Yeah.
Does quite a few things, so it's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. For you stay healthy, I mean, like still, after the operation of your spine, you still keep what you did for the past, and you still do the housing part, the gardening things.
Not as much. The garden's got away. But
what is the secret again? I mean, like to stay healthy, that you're still being very active to involve a community.
I think what you do is you pick your parents.
Okay.
You pick your parents. And I can remember Mum saying once, she said, I think we inherit so many heartbeats. You inherit XDX heartbeats from your mum and dad.
Yeah.
And then what you do with them is up to you.
Oh, okay.
So you can smoke and drink and get overweight and not exercise, and that pushes you that way.
Yeah.
Or you can do what we did. I try to be really careful with eating.
Very careful, yeah.
You know.
Are you a vegetarian?
No,
okay.
but I don't eat red meat.
Okay.
Well,
Rabbit.
that's not quite true. I don't eat steak and I don't eat those things.
Okay.
I mean, I eat, if you make spaghetti bolognese or something like that, I eat that. So we don't do that, but I don't drink.
No alcohol.
No, because it makes my face red and my eyes run.
When you're socializing, I mean, like you have a lot of things that together with in your military base events.
Yeah.
Always you have to have a wine.
Yeah, but we've got a lot of glasses sitting out. But I would just have, I would have just that much, just to be social.
Okay.
I quite like it, but it just doesn't do. Never smoke.
You quite like it, but you don't want to be.
It's just.
Okay, fresh. Fresh face.
So, and I haven't ever smoked. Tried to be active.
Yeah, try to be active.
And I think also have a lot of friends. Just busy and keep in touch with people. Yeah. We've got a group of 4 women. The other 3, one's a Navy wife, but we've met up in the last 5 years.
Wow.
And none of them have children. They're all widows. The other 3 are widows, and they don't have children who live here. Yeah. They've got children elsewhere. And I'm the only one that's got a partner and children here. And we do a lot of things together. How often do you meet together? Once a week, twice a week. Wow. Because we do different things. We go to the movies, or we're the writing. One of the girls is on the writing club. Wow. And we have a little group that one day one woman said to me, "I've got a very funny question to ask you. Will you take a photo of my back?" So she said, "There is something there that I can't see. Yeah. And I want to go to the doctor, but I just want to know whatever." So I did take the photo. And that was when I said, look, we should actually have so we have our, some of us are on her, like her daughter is first, if you have an accident, the first person you call. Yeah. But she's in Auckland. Yes. So one of us will do it. Yeah. So we take each other to hospital appointments, and we take each other to the, if we've got an aircraft going, or we feed the cat, or water the plants, or. You're close to each other. Yes. 1, 2, 3 in Karori and 1 in Nio. Yes. Yeah. Wow. So we do that. So it's just a little. It's a group that you can say, "Can you please come because it's raining and I can't do ABC." Wow. Yeah, so we do that. So that's a good thing. Yeah, it's very, very close. Yeah. Wow. Yes. Well, it's the intimacy that here I feel we see, for example, from the culture I come from, we see them as strangers at the beginning. We don't want to involve too much, bring troubles to them. But it's kind of like for you here, you have intimacy of groups that help each other. If there's a problem, But so far it's worked out all right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. You also mentioned you did a lot of book club. So 3 book clubs. Wow. And 2 of them you don't really need to. Sometimes they it's just a social gathering. Yeah, I understand. So that works out quite well. And that's an interesting thing. One book group I've got, there are 2 Jewish girls and a woman who's celiac. So she doesn't eat wheat stuff. So you suddenly have to, when it's your turn to make the cake, we're ready to go. Yeah. We better finish off. Yes. You can come another day if you need to. Yeah. So this is a group that we meet once a month and have lunch, but it's something Rob can go to because he's got a scooter that he goes on. Yeah. Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah. Good to know. Today's like 2 hours. Easily. Thank you so much, Kay. Yeah. Hopefully next time we can have another one. Yeah. Oh, wow. We can. If you work out what you want.